So as I was continuing to pray to have, maybe a sign from God, or God, give me some guidance and a path, I reached out to my mother, and I asked my mother, because my family is my passion. My grandparents are everything to me. So I asked my mother, what anniversary would this year have been for their wedding anniversary? My grandfather passed. She said, Jay, it would have been their 75th wedding anniversary. So that was it. I was going to run 75 miles in 2 days. Mm-hmm. I was going to run the 50 miles in 1 day, and then followed by the New York City Marathon the next day. Mm-hmm. And the New York City Marathon, the significance of that is my grandparents are from Brooklyn, and they loved the marathon. So November 4th, I ran 48.8 miles in 9 hours and 20 minutes. And then on Sunday, November 5th, I ran the New York City Marathon in 5 hours and 40 minutes for the Long Island Alzheimer's Foundation in honor of my grandmother, for my family, and it was a real success. We raised around $20,000 this year, and I think we had a real, we really brought more light to Long Island Alzheimer's Foundation and what their programs are about and how to get people involved. So that was really important this year.
That was amazing. That's so incredible. I love the, you reached out to your mom for help, and 75 and wedding anniversary. That's a beautiful goal for all of us, those who are married and those hoping to be married, to be married 75 years. That's amazing. And how did you prepare for the marathon? I know you were recovering from an injury.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how, just in general, I guess also how you prepare to do this.
I have a running coach, so he would always give me a schedule of how to prepare for these ultra marathons. And again, all of this does not happen without faith and prayer too. So that's every single day when I wake up, I pray that God will give me guidance and strength to train and help others with Alzheimer's. So that's a big component to all of this too, my faith and praying. And then I would have a schedule of training. And in March of last year during training, I ended up tearing a ligament in my ankle. And it was a very difficult time for me. And most people would say, you shouldn't do the run, just rest. But with prayer and just guidance, I was able to find alternative ways to continue to train with a torn ligament in my ankle. And those things were biking, swimming, and now hot yoga. And it's a way, even when I do hot yoga, I pray. When I'm there, I'm praying, and I'm saying my Hail Marys as I'm in difficult stretching positions, and I was praying when I was swimming and biking. I mean, that's a good time for me to pray, and my Hail Marys, glory be, and Our Fathers, and so that's what I had to do to get through the injury, and I found alternative ways to train. And then when I was healthy again, I was out there running again, and that's how I was able to complete this. But it was a lot of prayer. And a lot of guidance, and putting all my faith in Jesus Christ and God. And let's just say I couldn't do the run. Well, that was God's plan. But you know what? He was with me, and I was able to complete it, and all glory is to God because of this. It's not about me. It was about God and his guidance. And the great thing is, I know I just have an extreme spiritual connection to my grandmother, even though she doesn't know who I am anymore. And she's with me. And I know, like, when I'm struggling out there, she's with me. My godfather's with me who passed away. My grandfather's with me who passed away. And I feel that strength from them when I'm going through difficult times.
That's great. Well, thank you. Thank you. I know that they're with you in prayer, too, when you pray, when you're doing these feats. That's... do you, with regards to prayer, I know you mentioned you pray throughout the day, and you pray when you're stretching, and are there any other prayers or anything else that really helps you during those tough times?
So I have to say, 3 years ago, I was going through a very, very difficult time with just life in general, and my faith wasn't the forefront of my life at that particular time, and alcohol and unfortunately some drugs were really taking a part of my life, and I'll never forget, I haven't been to church in about 10 years. And it was so bad for me that, the things that were going on in my life really knocked me back down on my knees. And I went to church on January 1st, 2015. And the one prayer I said that day, because it was so bad, was, God, I give you my mind, my eyes, my ears, my mouth, my heart, my body, my soul, to you, Lord Jesus Christ, and God the Father Almighty, and forever and ever. Amen. I say that prayer every single day since. That is my prayer. It's just, and since I've said that prayer, when I, like, my eyes, I give you my eyes, right? So ever since I said that, when I go running or I'm driving in a car, I always see a cross in someone else's rear view mirror in someone's car. I see it all day, every day. And it's just like a sign for me that he's always around. And just looking at the good in people. So like that's one prayer that always is just like resonating with me, and I say every single day. And I'm thankful. So the other prayer I say, I thank God every day for my wife, my beautiful daughter, and my son, because at one time we had a difficult time getting pregnant. So I prayed for her, Allison, to get pregnant. She did. And then I want to be outnumbered by women, so I prayed for a son. and
to be,
yeah,
a son.
yeah, so I prayed, and God heard my prayer. My son's name is Shane, and his name means God's gracious gift. So, I mean, there's always that prayer. Just really, I say it every day, and I'm so thankful. So.
Oh, well, that's beautiful. Yeah, definitely. God definitely wants to bless us with the desires of our heart, for sure. And I love your story. That reminded me of Saint Faustina. I think that was she said a prayer really similar to God, to Lord, help me to be merciful with my hands, with my body, with my eyes, so that I could help others. Let my ears be merciful. So it was that was her simple prayer. Like, God, let me help others. Let me be your instrument in every little thing that I do. So that's great. That's your life motto. And
yes.
Every mile that you run, you're being merciful by raising money, of course, for this foundation, but also just being a witness to everybody who donates.
Yes.
I'm sure you've inspired so many people that they feel like they're running with you.
Yes.
Would you say that that's true?
100%. And then the thing that inspires me too is just like people that have maybe never run 3 miles before, and they want to, and they decide to make that a goal of theirs, and they do it. It's not 90 miles, it's not 75, but that 3 could feel to them like 90 and 75. And when they achieve that, and if I just had a little spark in them to do it, I feel so blessed that I had that ability to have a positive impact on someone else's life. And I hope that continues for them. And I think that's God's work through me. And that's what I try to do every day, is I try to build the strongest possible relationship with Jesus Christ and God on a daily basis. And that's just by impacting other people's lives in a positive way. And that's what brings me peace every single day.
Oh, great. Is there like a particular story or somebody you've met along the way that something similar happened, or I'm sure there's plenty of people.
Yes.
Just one that sticks out to you.
So to be inspired to run 90 miles or train for 75 miles, it's hard. So you want to pull inspiration from other people that are doing great things. So last year, when I was getting started to train for the 75 miles, a woman I work with, her son, Michael Caruso Davis, he lives with cystic fibrosis, which is a disease where his body and lungs can't fight bacteria. So every morning he wakes up at 4:30 a.m., he puts a vest on to get the bacterium fluid out of his lungs from 4:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. He does that every day. Then he takes 40 to 60 pills, medications to keep the bacteria out. And that's just for him to live. And I found out last January he had signed up for the New York City half marathon in March of last year, which I thought for him had to be very courageous to step up and say he wanted to do that. So I reached out to his mom, Jen, and said, Jen, I would love to help Michael with his running. And I've never met him before. And I just want to be a part of it. I want to help. Because in turn, I think he would help me and inspire me to train for the 75 miles last year. Well, Michael we ran a New York City half marathon together in 2 hours and 10 minutes, which was amazing. Then we did a 4-mile run in New York City for Team Boomer Cystic Fibrosis to raise awareness in April, like a couple weeks after that run. We did a sprint triathlon together in September in Long Beach Island, New Jersey. And then when I did my 48 miles or 50 miles in November, he came from Delaware and ran 5 of those 50 miles with me. And this year was the first year since he was 3 years old, and he's 15 now, that he didn't have to be hospitalized for his disease.
Oh, wow.
So,
Praise God. That's
praise
amazing.
God, all glory, and he put the work in. So that inspires me what he's done, just by doing what I've done with the running. And I was reaching out to him to help him. He's helped me and blessed me, and put life into perspective for me.
And it was just like you said, a little bit at a time. You know, he ran those 5 miles with you, and that for you was a lot. You know, you had to do the rest, but he was there with you that portion of it. So that made a big difference. You know,
and Michael and his mom were there at 6 a.m. when I started, and they were there. He ran with me those 5 miles, and they were at the end. And it was just. We have a very nice relationship, and this year we're running the New York City Half Marathon again on March 18th. So he's training again, and it's just been a great relationship. And then I have a good friend, Michelle Mascolo, who's from St. Pius, my church, and that's how we became friends. And she's been running some 5Ks, and we talk all the time about getting her to run a half marathon. And she, a little nervous about doing something she's never done before. Well, she stepped up, and she's doing the Brooklyn Half Marathon in June.
Oh,
and that
nice.
inspires me, because she's doing something that's outside of her comfort zone. She's using her faith, and I know she's going to be so great at that run. And that's another thing that inspires me, that other people are doing.
Oh, great. You're, like you said, that little spark to, we have to be those little sparks for other people in our life. Yeah.
Because we all have greatness inside of us. We all have it. It's just a matter of getting it out. And once it comes out, there's nothing great about me. I am not extraordinary, but I just want to do great things. I want to do extraordinary things. We all can do it. And if I've learned something along the way about getting there, I just want to share that with everybody, because we could all be great. We could all have greatness in our lives. We could all be successful. And we just got to share it. That's it.
Yeah, that reminded me of the quote from St. Catherine of Siena, be all that God has called you to be, and you'll set the world on fire. So, I like that spark, and that's incredible. What recommendation would you have for any of our listeners today if they wanted to get started in running or exercising, to get back into it?
Okay, perfect. I love this question. It starts slow, right? You just got to start slow. You just got to. You're not going to be able to go and work out or run for an hour right away. Start 15 minutes. Just 15-minute walk, and do that a couple times a week. And then the following week, maybe we'll do a 15-minute walk with a 5-minute jog. And we do that 3 times a week. And it's a slow process. We can't just jump right into it. So, because then I think when you want to jump right in, you're going to maybe not see the success that you want to see right away, and then you're going to stop. So take it slow. And with running, it's just start walking first. If you're not a runner, just walk. Walk is healthy. And then you'll start changing a little of the things in your life, your eating habits. Maybe if you're not eating so well, if you eat right, that gives you energy too. So and your mind too, right? It's all connected. And it's a good time to pray. Like when you exercise. I do it all. Every day. I'm in the pool. I was praying today. I was on a spin bike this morning. I have a 5-mile run this afternoon. I'm going to pray the whole time. It's a great way to pray. Yeah,
you have that time set aside. It's like, okay, it's an hour, might as well just pray, It's hard because in the day when you go home, you have stuff going on. I find that too. I have a 50-minute commute in the morning and to come back home, so I use that time to pray, especially to get to work,
Yes.
Holy Spirit, or God, thank you for this day. Please be with me, help me to be you to the other people I'm going to talk with today. Patience,
yes.
Like you mentioned, patience with yourself, patience with others around you. That's a big thing, I was just thinking about that, the other day. We want to jump into things. We want, we're excited about something. We want success right away. But like you said, it actually takes more discipline to start slow and to build it up. And I think we miss that a lot of the times. We miss that, and especially with your body too. You could hurt yourself, like injuries. You have to stretch first.
Yes.
That takes time.
Yep.
Like you said with the yoga, it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that helps prepare you for everything else.
It does.
So
And we all have 24 hours in a day. It's just how are we using those 24 hours? And figuring out where you could get your 15-minute walk in or your workout in, and just try to get into a routine. And the routine takes a good 2 weeks. And then once you have those 2 weeks, it's just natural. Now you know at this time I'm working out, and it helps. It really does help. And even you said the stretching. For me, like, I don't want to get injured, and I do a lot of these running, and stretching is the hardest but easiest thing to do. It's just like you don't have the time. Like every 15 minutes before I run, I have to stretch. And then when I'm done, 15 minutes after that, I have to stretch. But I need to do that in order to keep doing what I want to do. So,
getting into that habit, that's important. Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for that. So I think we're gonna play a little song right now, just to kind of break up our talk. But we're gonna come back and talk more about the Alzheimer's Foundation and the running. So thank you.
Try to find a cure, but they are here to help those families that are living with Alzheimer's right now. They have brain memory fitness programs. They have wonderful social workers there that are the best of the best. Every single person that works with the organization, they've been most likely touched by the disease, so they know they are sensitive to what is going on with their the loved ones, the entire family. So in my journey is, yes, I want to raise donations for the Long Island Alzheimer's Foundations, because they do need money for these programs. Like I said, the brain memory fitness programs. They have something called Whimsical Wednesdays, where if you wanted to just get an introduction to the Long Island Alzheimer's Foundation, you can go to Soro's restaurant, and it's on a Wednesday, one time a month. And if you were interested in that, you could reach out and I'll get you that information. But if you weren't sure if you wanted to get your loved one into the foundation, you would come to Whimsical Wednesday. There's music, there's dancing, and you could have lunch, and there's no pressure. And you sit, and if there's people from the Long Island Alzheimer's Foundation there, if you had questions, you want to talk to them, great. If not, you come in and you just have a nice lunch, and that's a good way to get started into the introduction of LIAF and what they do. And if you'd like to donate, you could go to liaf.org. You could go to my website, theannasparrowrun.com, and donate there. And they're just great people doing great things. So I am honored that I even have the ability to raise money and awareness for this organization. But the disease is a very difficult disease to navigate through, and my goal and mission, I feel, is I want to help people through this process and get them to the foundation, because they'll help families through this tough disease.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you. It's always important to let others know how we could get help. A lot of times we want to be helped, but we just don't know, like, where to go, or So that's great. That's important. Thank you. I had a question about. I know that you mentioned to me before that your mission right now is to share your story with others, and that you run, and I know you speak at the Hofstra men's soccer team.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and just your speaking engagements?
Yes.
Things?
So I love to talk to any type of sports teams, just to give them what it takes. Again, there's nothing great about me, but I'm just trying to do something great. And I've learned how to do something that not many people have done. So I'd like to just share that with as many people as possible, because we could all be successful. And then also doing these speaking engagements at sports teams or with the youth, through the church, with companies. It holds me accountable to keep doing what I want to do. But something that really struck one of the talks, I was talking with the Hofstra men's soccer team, a place where I was a player when I was younger, many years ago. And at some of these talks, I really don't go too far into my faith, but I always talk about the 5 things that I live by, which is God, family, work, running, and friends. And I said that at this talk. And I just mentioned when I run, I pray. And after the talk, it was a very good talk. I think many of the guys were inspired. And I walked down this long hallway. I went down these stairs that go right into the parking lot, and then I had another long walk to my car. And as I'm walking, one of the players ran out of the room, chased me down, and he's like, Jay, I just want to pray for you. And he put his hands on my shoulder. I'm 38 years old. He's 18. I believe he was from Africa. So we really don't have that same connect, but he put his hands on my shoulders. Unfortunately, I can't remember what he said because I was so taken back. But he felt that connected to me and my story, and he prayed for me. And I just felt like this was one of the best days of my life. That somebody felt that connected to me and my story, that they wanted to pray for me.
That's amazing. Yeah, those grace-filled moments, just out of nowhere, happen sometimes.
Yes.
I could just imagine you turning around and be like,
So taken back, but I mean, he put his hands on my shoulder, I put my head down, and it was, I don't know, I felt great. I felt really amazing. And and over the last 3 years, because of the prayers that I pray, these things happen a lot to me, and I'm so blessed. I have another story where I was training for the 90-mile run, and I went to Hartford to run the marathon. And I went by myself. I didn't know anyone. I was very nervous because I'm in a place I haven't been. So when you go to marathons, they always have tents. And running, they're always trying to sell running gear. And it was like a little roped-off area. And I normally, if I'm nervous, I go to a church and I just pray. I just walk in and I pray, and I feel a little better. But at this particular time, there was no church around. So I'm walking around this field, and all of a sudden I see a tent. And on a board it says prayer with a question mark. All right, I got you to come over, and I think I got to go over and talk. So I go over and I said, what is your booth? And they said, well, we're opening up a new parish and we're trying to get parishioners. And I said, well, unfortunately I'm from New York, so I won't be coming up here on Sundays. But, and I told my story about my grandmother, Alzheimer's, why I'm, running 90 miles. And these two women said, Jay, we'd love to pray for you. And they came around from the back. They prayed for me. And that marathon was one of the toughest days I had. I wasn't feeling my best. And my parents were driving up from New York to drive my car home after the marathon. But I ran. I didn't know when they were getting there. So I started running, and I felt really bad. For the first good 13 miles, I was sweating, my stomach was hurting, not a very good feeling. And then I started to feel a little better, and I was running, and I felt something behind me. And every time I moved, it was still there. And I kept going, and I'm running, and I finally got to the next water tent, and I was drinking water, and this woman comes up to me. She's like, thank you so much. You were helping me. I was just following you the whole way, and you helped me. And I was like, okay. I was like, you tired me out, but okay, I'm glad I helped you. And I said, would you like to run the rest together? And she's like, I'd like that, but she's like, I don't talk. And I was like, neither do I. We'll just run next to each other. And we ran the next 8 miles together. I felt so much better for some reason. And as I'm running with her, I just thought, like, maybe, that's why I prayed earlier. And as we're running, we're doing really good. Now we're passing a lot of people. We get to the next water tent. We're like, all right, let's keep going. We keep running. And I'm a mile away from the finish line. And there's nobody around, like no spectators. And all of a sudden, I see my parents, which was like, I could not believe that they were there. Like, I knew I was going to see them at the finish line, but I saw them in a place that I shouldn't have seen them. And I got to see them. And I told them I'd see them at the finish line. And as this was going on, I thought the woman who I was running with went off, but she waited for me. And then we continued to run, and it was maybe like a half mile until the finish, and a young boy came out and grabbed her, and it was her son. Aww. And I said, you should be so proud of your mother. She did an amazing job. And they hugged, and then I just ran. And I finished, and I don't know her name. I remember what she looks like, but I've never seen her again. But this is, like, for me, power of prayer. Like, all these great things don't happen if you don't pray. And I mean, it was, and then I met up with my parents. They drove me home, and
your body was feeling better by the end of the race, right? Because you were feeling a little, wow, that's. I was gonna say, did you come in first after the prayer? And,
unfortunately,
the power of prayer, boom.
Yeah. I passed a lot of people, but I was nowhere close to the first.
It doesn't. Sometimes we can't be first all the time, right?
No, you can't. So I have a lot of these stories. Yeah. These are just, and that's what keeps my faith so strong. And I like to share this because there's two people that are out there. Either someone's faith is so strong, and I hope that I just give them reassurance that faith is there when you pray. And then for those people whose faith are struggling right now, I mean, there's nothing great about me. Just you put your faith in God and Jesus Christ, you know, things will turn around. But you have to build a relationship. Like every day I wake up and get my day started, it's just about doing or building a relationship with Jesus Christ and God. What would make our relationship stronger? And that's what I do on a daily basis. And my life has been amazing.
So, like, I just want to jump in on what you said, building a relationship. I think that's really important because sometimes we pray and we tell, like I do this all the time too, like we tell God this, and this is what's going on, can you help me with this? But I think there's also that other part where we need to listen to like what he's telling us, and that it's like a conversation. It's like me and you talking. I can't just talk the whole time, because then it's like, wait a minute, like I want to get in on the conversation too, you know? So I think it's important that we also listen. Like you said, you look for the signs, how God is working in your life, the interactions you have with people on a day-to-day basis, you know, and also God speaks to us through scripture too. I just would recommend maybe to take that 5 minutes in a day to read the day's gospel, or just take 5 minutes and just kind of relax and just be with God and to listen to what he's trying to tell you. Sometimes, you know, our days are so busy that we have to do this and this, but or like you said, when you wake up in the morning or at the end of the day, maybe it could be at the end of the day, you just kind of regroup and be like, okay, you know, what happened today? You know, what was like a God moment today? Or what was something maybe I could have done better, or those kinds of things. I'm just thinking, because you know, Lent is coming up. It's starting next week already. Yes. And Ash Wednesday is on Valentine's Day on Wednesday, and so Lent is a time to, how can we become a better person? How can we grow closer in relationship with God? And you know, remembering his sacrifice, what he did for us on the cross, and the glory of the resurrection. So I mean, a recommendation would be to take that quiet time to listen to God. And I had a question for you. I know you mentioned that you pray every morning. Is it as soon as you wake up, or do you like maybe have a cup of coffee and kind of just, how do you?
So on my phone, I have the daily Bible verse. Okay. So I wake up, I open up my phone, and I read the daily Bible verse. That's the first thing I do. Whether I'm like still in bed, or if I get, you know, I'm starting to walk downstairs for coffee, that's the first thing I do. Mm-hmm. And then I'll just say some prayers in my head as the day goes on. And if I have the time, I'll go to church, and I just go. I love when it's empty, and I just sit in the back or wherever I want, and I pray for every single person that I love, and I pray maybe for some people that are going through a difficult time, and then I pray for those that may have something against me, because so I pray for them as well. Mm-hmm. And for me, with the relationship with Jesus Christ and God, it's not about church. It's not about religion for me. It's about, and you were saying it earlier, like, I used to pray all the time, like, oh, if you get me through this, I'll go to church every Sunday, I promise. And then I would get what I wanted, and I wouldn't go to church. That's not praying. That's not building a relationship, right? Because it's one-sided. You're just taking. You're not giving. So I've just come to the fact, like, I want to build a relationship by doing what he wants me to do. And I know it's just being good to other people, like going out of my way. There's sometimes, we always have that thought, like yesterday, I was in my car, I was outside of a Dunkin' Donuts, I was doing some work, and I saw a woman from the church, and she was walking into the pizzeria. No, I could have just sat in my car, continued to do my work, and let her work. I got out, because I felt like just to say hello to her. And I went over and I talked to her, just said hello. And it's like those little things, like, you could do it or you can't. But I try to listen to God, and it's just a nice thing. And I think she was really happy to see me, and I was happy to see her. So, but and I think that's just building a relationship with him. He wanted that, so I want to do what he wants me to do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you did it, because you wanted to follow God, and it ended up helping both of you. Yeah. So, That's great. That's really great. And as you were talking, I was just thinking about how we can have those moments. Like you said, you go into a church and you just sit, and that's amazing. And I also wanted to mention that St. Catherine of Siena Church in Franklin Square. If you're ever in the area, or if you need to go to adoration, they just opened recently a perpetual adoration chapel, and it's a small chapel. I love it. It has wood on the inside, beautiful stained glass windows with saints. It's not too big. It's very cozy feeling, and they have perpetual adoration. So anytime you could go and sit and be with Jesus. And I want to mention to our listeners, because it's just such a great place just to rest and give everything to God, whatever you're going through. I definitely feel better after going. And if you go during the day, there's no code, but if you would like to go during the nighttime, you just need to contact the parish office for the door code, just for security reasons. So I wanted to give a shout out for that. And I know Jay was mentioning about his speaking engagements. That was actually how I met Jay for the first time, was at the coffee house in St. Francis of Assisi Church in Green Lawn on Long Island. And they're doing a lot of great stuff for young adults, for everyone really, for the parish. And I wanted to shout them out. Also, they just had a Lectio Divina and followed by Mass last Sunday. And it was great. My friend was telling me about it, that it was wonderful. And then they all headed together to Mass, whoever could make it or who didn't attend the Mass. And it was a great thing. So if you're ever, if you're looking for a group, a church, a Christian Catholic group to be a part of, and you want to be involved, that's a great place to go. And you could, contact me. I'll definitely give you more information about that. I love the coffee house. It's a great place just to hang out. Fridays, just have a cup of coffee, meet new people, and really no pressure, like you said, no pressure environment to say or do anything really, So yeah, again, if you want to reach out to me or reach out to us, 631-888-8811, and the text-in number is 516-784-6081. So thank you again. Have any other stories that you wanted to mention to us today, or I know last time you mentioned that Padre Pio is one of your favorite saints. I guess we can mention a little bit about that, or any other saints that really, like, you felt their intercession in your life, or not even, if it's not always about feelings sometimes with prayer, but just some of your favorite saints. And
Padre Pio, Pray, Hope, and Don't Worry is the last 2 years with trying to run 90 miles over 3 days and 75 miles in 2 days. I just had to give it, and it was some very challenging days, but I know this is the path he has me on. And if he did not want me to complete the 90-mile run or the 75-mile run, then that's his plan for me, and I'm okay with that. But so Padre Pio is someone that I.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. No, I just thought of something too. Padre Pio is the 50th. This coming year is his 50th anniversary of his death, and I think the 100th. I forget exactly what it is, but I remembered our conversation before the show started. What you would like to do next year, yes, and your goal. And maybe it's a confirmation, I'm not sure, but tell our listeners what it involves. Italy,
yes,
and maybe you could run to St. Giovanni Rotondo, and maybe that's, I don't want to give it away, but
okay,
go ahead.
So yes,
I'm so excited.
So obviously over the last 2 years, everything I've done for Alzheimer's, it's based on my family. It's based on my grandmother. That's my passion. That's who my connection's with. That's who I do everything for. So the 90 miles was because she was 90 years old. the 75 miles was in honor of what would have been my grandparents' 75th anniversary. This year, I'm doing an Ironman, which is more for myself. This is a challenge that I know my grandmother very well, and she would say, Jay, do what makes you happy. So for this year, I'm going to do that, but obviously everything's for the Long Island Alzheimer's Foundation, and I'm doing this Ironman in honor of my grandmother. But for 2019, I really wanted to go back to what this is all about, and it's my family. So my grandparents were Italian, and about 2 months ago, I was home, I was on a computer, and I said, I got to do something that represents my grandmother. And they are Italian, they love Italy. My grandfather, I just remember him on his bike, and he would be listening to his Italian music. And so I open up my computer and I pull up the map of Italy. My grandfather is from a town called Bari, and my grandmother is from Naples. So I open up the map. I'm going to run from the town of Bari to Naples. It's 163 miles across Italy. I'll probably be running 32.5 miles a day for 5 days across Italy. Now, I've never been to Italy. I don't speak Italian. I don't know anyone in Italy. But in November 2019, that's what I think God's plan is for me to do this for the Long Island Alzheimer's Foundation. So with a lot of faith and prayer, I hope to get this accomplished.
That's incredible. Well, thank you for sharing with that. And I just I want to give a shout out also. I also work for a pilgrimage company called 206 Tours, and we organize pilgrimages across Italy, France, Spain, Medjugorje, Canada, Mexico. So I just thought, if anyone is looking for a pilgrimage experience or needs help organizing, I just thought, you could definitely contact us. We're located in Hauppauge, New York, on Long Island, and open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And their telephone number, you could contact me with my telephone number, but their office number is 1-800-206-8687. We could connect about that, if that's something that...
I'll be calling Monday morning at 9 a.m.
It's another idea, and if it's... I think that God will put the pieces in your path, people that will help you if, that's His will, and to keep doing his great work. So
and through this process as well, I was invited to do a podcast not too long ago, and somebody through Instagram reached out to me saying that they were listening to my podcast and they feel very connected and they were very inspired. And I said, oh, thank you so much. He said, can I reach out to you because I know you're running across Italy? I said, okay, great. And we connected. And his name was Jonathan. He was a Jewish man who years ago, he said he had things going on in his life, but he needed a connection to something. And he did some research, and he found an Italian who was Gino Bartelli. And this Italian gentleman helped some Jewish people in the Holocaust to escape or to survive. And he felt connected to Gino Bartelli, so he put a bike tour together in Italy. And he rode for Gino Bartelli, and he just felt connected to me and wanted to help me in my journey. And I just thought that was so amazing how God is connecting us. And then this was at a time where, a couple weeks ago, I was doubting the Italy thing of running across, and we just started brainstorming on how we could get this accomplished, and going to Italian American Society and going to the Italian Embassy. And again, God, like when I started to get that doubt, He put someone in my life to give me my confidence back up that this is the right thing to do.
A little boost. Yeah. It's amazing.
And I have tons of these stories. Even during the 90-mile run, and training was really tough. I'm in medical sales. My territory is Brooklyn, and I was in East Brooklyn, and I was ready to quit. I was down. I just didn't think I could do it anymore, and I was at an intersection, and it was not one of the greatest areas, and I just picked my head up, and I looked at this building, and there was this big sign. It was so big, and it said, "What is impossible for man is possible with God." It was just, and I just prayed, and that was like right time, right when I needed it. The sign was there. I took a picture of it, like, and it just puts everything in perspective. Like I was down, but he picks you right back up.
Yeah, you looked up and there was the sign. That's so funny. I feel like God is so funny too. Like, you know, it's this huge sign. It's like, like
Yeah.
you can't doubt it, you know?
No.
Like a sign that big, like out of nowhere.
It was amazing. It changed everything. It changed my training. And even with the 90-mile run, you know, that came about. I was running on a 6-mile run, and I was praying to see what I could do next. And I thought about 90 miles. I thought about grandma being 90 years old. I was like running from a church in Montauk to my church in Plainview, but I said it has to be 90 miles or I won't do it. So when I went home after that run, I Google mapped the 2 churches, and it was 89.7 miles. So I know God has a sense of humor. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't exactly 90, but I had to do it. So it's,
Oh, good.
yeah, so it's been amazing.
5 minutes. Okay, so we have 5 minutes, but I wanted to mention, I love what you said about the technology, how, you know, God is using the technology to connect people. And we always think, oh, technology is bad, but there's actually a lot of great stuff going on if you use it for the good, you know, on Facebook, Instagram, you mentioned, there's Twitter. I haven't used Twitter, but I guess I got to get on it. The social media is great. You know what?
Yeah, so I Facebook, I have, you know, Jay Sparrow, and then I have the Anna Sparrow Facebook page. And then on Instagram, I'm JSparrow7, and I just post this journey. Not, you know, it's nothing about me. It's just really like my training I post, and then the talks that I'm doing, and hopefully, you know, maybe I'll inspire somebody, or they want to reach out to me. I love talking about this. I'll talk about it, and I want to help people too. So if they need a little spark, you know, reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. We'll get through this together. We're all in it together.
And so that was my question. If somebody wanted you to speak at their church or a local, they could just reach out to you
and if our schedules fit. I would make my schedule fit to be able to reach out to more people with my faith journey, my story, and to help and spark and inspire others. Because we all, like I said, we all have greatness inside of us. It's just getting it out.
Bringing it out. Yes. Amen. Amen. So, in this last minute, I just wanted to wrap up and just say thank you to all of our listeners for joining us today. It was such an amazing show. I'm just so inspired right now, you know. I want to just go run, but I have to take it slow, like you said.
Yes.
One day at a time. But yeah, please tune in next week. We're always praying for you, and know you're in our prayers. Every Saturday at 10 a.m., WGBB, 1240 a.m., or 95.9 FM. God bless you and have a great weekend.
God bless. Thank you.
Say thank you on air. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me. That was great.